I am Cristiano, and that's our last English speaking broadcast of 2018. As you know, in 1922, precisely in December 30, was formed the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. But before talking about my uniform, before talking about the formation of the USSR, I would like to remember you all that now we are at Patreon. In this case, if you want to help our channel to grow, if you want to help us to improve the quality of our broadcasts, you can help us clicking the Patreon, checking the description box. Today I'm going to tell you about the uniforms used by the Soviet Union during the Great Patriotic War. As you know, the Soviet Union played a very important role to defeat fascism in Europe. More than 27 million of Soviets died in order to destroy the evil and nefarious fascist regime that took place in Germany. Here today I am using the uniform M1936, or simply M36, as is quite often referred in English-speaking sites. What's very characteristic from this uniform? Like all the uniforms of the Civil War that happened prior to the formation of the Soviet Union, it doesn't have the so-called pagone. Pagone, that is, epaulets. It doesn't use epaulets because it was a way that Red Army soldiers found in order to present themselves as different from the so-called White Army. We have black buttons, as you can see, and I'm also using the so-called полевая версия, защитная. That is the version of this uniform used precisely to the war in concrete conditions. That's why we can see a few colors here, despite that actually I was not supposed to be using my pilotka that uses a red star. There is also a version with a green star. The version with green star, by the way, is the one that was used during the so-called Nevsky Petechok battles. That is, the military operations directed to free the city of Leningrad from the siege promoted by the Nazi Germany. The Nazi Germany planned to destroy completely the city of Leningrad and transform it into a big channel that would be the border between the Third Reich and its ally, that is, Finland. In this case, they used the green tabs. I am using our green tabs without the characteristic insignia of infantry forces, because since it's a soldier's uniform, so basically it did not make any difference. So many of them, especially for practical reasons, did not use the insignia characteristic. So as you can see, I am now using the soldier's uniform without epaulets, with color tabs and black buttons. That's the main difference of the uniform used at the earlier years of the war until 1943. Of course, there were other versions as you are going to see now, of the uniform of 1936. You can also get acquainted with the belt and some of the equipments used by the Red Army soldiers at the early stages of the war. For example, we have a belt, the same model that was used during the Civil War. We have also an ammunition bag for Mosin rifle and a grenade punch. of course, we have also the ring, however, is not so historical, since they did not use any religious artifact. Artillery adds dignity to what otherwise would be a vulgar brawl. Once said a famous military commander on the role of artillery, and that's exactly what you see here. I am now using the uniform, also a model M36, concerning the school of artillery. That's an uniform used by the cadets who prepared themselves to become artillerymen. As you can see, we have color tabs that define the name of the school, and let me get closer. You can also see two crossed cannons, denoting that it's from an artillery school. All the details lead us to understand that. There is also a very important details at the uniform of Red Army. Usually soldiers and officers, they used this kind of thing. They had to sew it, and that was considered as important as to shave themselves. It was as important to shave as to have it always white. It was a way to increase the morale of the troops, as well as the morale of the one who used the uniform, to show that he was still civilized, that he was still sane, and that he was a soldier or officer of Red Army. This kind of uniform was used until 1933, despite that in some isolated regions, such as Leningrad, it was used basically until the end of the war. And here we have the lastest model of uniform used during the Great Patriotic War by the Red Army, the M43. It was adopted after the victory in Stalingrad, when the military and national pride of Soviet Union was restored. In this case, the old uniform, very similar actually to the one used during the times of Russian Empire, was reestablished. If you pay carefully attention, you realize that the gimnasterka is nothing but a military version of peasantska savorotka, that is, the shirt used by Russian peasantry. The uniform M43, this one is a model of military parades, has something very different from another uniforms. It's the restitution of the pagone, that is, the epaulets. We have here an epaulet indicating the rank of junior lieutenant, indicating that I'm a tankist, that's from Armored Corps, and here we can notice that it's actually for military parades. You can also notice that it's actually from tank or artillery corpus because of the color of this line being red, as well as its borders. Compare, for example, as this one, a field epaulet from infantry. It's actually even bigger, as you can see, and it has the so-called malиновый цвет, almost violet. That indicates it's actually from a junior lieutenant and malиновый цвет. It's very important to remember that the format of the epaulets must not be neglected. For example, here we have an epaulet from the Great Patriotic War, that is from the Red Army, workers and peasants Red Army, while this one is actually from the Soviet Army, that's the post-war period, we can notice that the format is different. We have more angles at this epaulette. Here we have less angles, as you can see. We still have another element here. It's the material that's used. For example, here we have cloth. It's not metal, but here we have metal. And here we have simply plastic. Here's an epaulette that was used after the war from artillery corpus. As you can see, again we have the cannons crossed. The uniform that you see also has pockets and is used with another kind of belt, at least for officers. We have an officer belt. Pay attention carefully. We have metal. This one's an original from 1936. And here we finish our exposition. We hope that you enjoyed our video. We hope that you leave your comments and of course that you help us at Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to thumbs up and share it with your friends interested in Russian culture, in military affairs, or simply in historical reenaction. I am Cristiano from the channel Russificando, and I want to wish you all the best new year of your lives. Happy New Year!